Now we're going to get started with the winch line repair, and you can actually do this without any special tools. I went ahead and purchased this repair kit from Viking Off-Road. It's kind of just slick because it has a little bag and it has everything you need inside of it, so you can throw it in with your supplies when you go off-road. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull out everything that's inside of it real quick. And you can see here's your rope to test, play around with. You got scissors, tape, a needle for threading through, pen to mark, and they also have some instructions here on how to do it. So let me pull that out real quick. There you go. All right, so here is the damage section of the winch rope. And so the first step we're going to do is we're actually going to cut this damage section here. And I'm going to just use some electrical shears to do that. I'm just going to cut it right there. It's the point of no return right there. So next step is that we're going to need to taper both of these ends. And to taper it, we're basically going to measure about 1 inch from the end here, and then we're going to mark out the different cords, and I'll show you how that's done here. So get a pen, and what you want to do is mark alternating threads. So here's one right there, and we'll skip a pair, skip that pair right there, go to this one, mark this, mark the alternating, go ahead and skip that pair, go up to this one, mark this one, mark there. And what we'll be doing is pulling these threads out and then cutting them. And that'll create a really nice taper, and that taper is what we're going to be using to feed the line back inside of the other rope. So let's go ahead and pull those out and we'll get those cut. Okay, so there you can see that we've got all of our different cords pulled out at the marks. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut them at those different marks for each one of those. And then here at the end, we're going to just cut this at a 45-degree angle. That'll give us a nice easy end to thread through. So there you go. So when you're done, you should have a nice tapered end there. The next step is we're going to need to tape it, and you can either tape it with masking tape or electrical tape. I've got electrical tape handy here, so I'm going to go ahead and use that, and we'll go ahead and wrap it. You want to wrap it as tightly as you can, and then we're going to want to go ahead and do that to the other end as well. Okay, so on this side we'll do the same thing. We're going to go measure back about 1 inch or so, and then I'm going to start marking these pairs. So I'm going to go mark this one, this pair, skip that pair, move up to this pair, mark that pair, skip that pair, mark up to this pair, and then we'll go ahead and pull these out. So we're going to measure that and mark it on both of these ropes. So there's 13 inches right there. Go ahead and mark it, and go ahead and measure it on this rope. 13 inches right there. And just to make it easier, I'm going to go ahead and mark all the way around the rope. About 23 inches from that mark we first made. So I'm going to go ahead and measure 23 inches down, mark it on that rope, measure 23 inches down on here, and mark it there. Once again, we're going to mark all the way around on this rope just to make it a little bit easier. There's our ropes, there's our marks. So we're ready to go with the next part of it, which is going to be feeding the rope through. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the one rope and inserting the rope at our first mark and then pulling it out at the second mark, and then we're going to be doing the same on the opposite side. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this rope up because it's been obviously used for a while, and so we'll go ahead and loosen it up a little bit, and it'll make it a little easier to feed it, and then we'll go ahead and start feeding it. And when you get started with it, sometimes it's easier to use the end of a pen, and you can just use that to work it in and get a good entry point there at your mark, and kind of work it into the center portion there. So there you have it. And you can kind of bunch it up to allow it to create an opening for it. And then you go ahead and insert your end into there. And what you're going to be doing is just pushing this forward and then pulling it back, pinching right here. Once again, pushing more of it forward and pulling it, working it back. And you're going to just keep doing that until you get it to the mark down here. And there's our mark right there. Go a little bit past it, and then we're just going to pull back out through right about where that mark is. There you have it. That's the first pull. Now the second rope, we've got to feed and do the exact same thing. Okay, so with this other end, we're looking for our first mark on the rope. You can see there's the mark number 2, there's mark number 1, and what we're going to be doing is inserting this end into the first mark and then pulling it out at the second. So to get it in there, once again, we'll just go ahead and use the pen to kind of get it a nice entry point there. Once you get to the mark, you go ahead and use that for your exit point. And go ahead and pull that rope back out. So next thing we want to do is just pull these two ends snug. So grab both ends, give them a good pull. That'll snug them up there pretty good. And then what you want to do is go ahead and unwrap your tape on both of these ends. Once again, just make sure you pull them tight, nice and tight there. And then we're going to go ahead and just work this rope back in on itself. So we're going to go ahead and just pull this back. You'll see the ends just disappear there as you do that. So lock stitch basically is going to be from the center section here, and we're going to make 3 complete passes on either side of this this center crossover section, and then we're going to tie a knot on either side of it. So the stitching is going to be something like this area right in here. To stitch it, this kit, if you end up buying the same kit, has a needle already with some kind of small diameter rope. You can use almost anything to thread it. You're going to count back about 8 different pairs from your crossover section, and that's where you're going to insert, and then you're going to make 3 complete stitches until this section, and then keep going 3 more additional on this side. That's 3 stitches on that side of the crossover there. And so we're going to go ahead and continue on and go 3 additional on this other side here. And this will basically just keep the synthetic rope from pulling out on itself, especially when it's on loose tension. And what we're going to do is go ahead and I'll tighten it all up, and then we'll just tie a quick knot at either end, and we should be good. We're just going to go ahead and tie it off on either side here, and we're just going to use just a basic knot, an overhand knot, to do that. And there you have it. So there's the end-to-end splice with synthetic rope. You can tell the diameter just slightly increases through that section, but it's otherwise very unnoticeable. And it should have similar strength to what the original rope had, so there's not really a loss there. That is splicing, end-to-end splice on a rope.